Good morning, shit biscuits. Alright, I'll be the first to admit, I don't really give a shit what age demographic watches my videos. Cause quite frankly, it's not my responsibility to look after that shit. But, to keep the communism of YouTube off my back, I will go ahead and say that if you are under the age of 18, I would not advise you watch these videos. Cause these tend to get violent and have a lot of cussing. Again, I personally don't give a fuck. But, at the same time, I'm not about to leave myself open for an attack. So, 18 or older, you're cool. Under that, I wouldn't recommend it.
So, Godzilla vs. Hedorah. Honestly, I really don't need to re-upload this one. All I have to do is clip out a few clips that are like a few seconds long, and you really wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But, for the sake of my own sanity, I'm going to do it anyway. That, and despite the fact that this movie is cheesy and campy as hell, it's still one of the better movies of the franchise.
Well, a Godzilla movie where the main focus just so happens to be pollution. This is going to be interesting. So Noah, we have finally done it. We have fought through the worst of the Godzilla films. And now, are you ready to take a look at Godzilla vs. Hedorah from 1971?
Yes, I am!
Wait, are you trying to impersonate All Might?
No! Run.
Well, My Hero Academia stuff aside, let's go ahead and talk about Godzilla vs. Hedorah, because this movie, thank God it wasn't bad. Well, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's far from the shit that we have been dealing with.
It's not sewage shit.
Yeah.
Right, Hedorah? Right, Hedorah? It's not completely sewage shit?
Oh, it's technically shit, but it's not shit. You'll see what we're talking about in a minute. Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about this. First things first, this film was actually directed by Yoshimitsu Banno. So not Jun Fukuda or, Ishiro Honda. And this film was actually, like, one of the driving points of this film was pollution. Cause at the time, like, kaiju films tend to mirror the times, and during this movie, one of the biggest fears was pollution and, like, what it was doing to the planet. So obviously, they decided that they were going to go ahead and do a film that was sort of like had a message of protect the planet, but at the same time not, because honestly, I feel like there would have been better ways to portray that in a Godzilla movie, but, you know, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
And yeah, Noah, this movie did have a bigger budget, I think, than the last one, and I think that is very clear to see. And yeah, are you ready to talk about the film itself? Yeah, so go ahead and list off the actors for this film.
Alright, we have, let's see, we have Akira oh god, he has a long last name, hold on. We have Akira Yamanouchi as Dr. Toru Yano, Hiroyuki Kawase as Kentano, Toshi Kimura as Toshi Yano. Hey, Toshi!
No,
Keiko Mari is Miko Fuchimiya. We have Toshio Shiba is Yukio Heuchi. We got Yoshiho Yoshida as Goe and Fisherman. We got Haruo Suzuki as JSDF Officer. Yoshi Katsui as JSDF Engineer. Tadashi Okabe as a scholar. That's it. Okay,
yes, very specific.
Yeah,
He's a scholar.
We got Wataru Omae as a policeman.
Again, very specific.
Yes. We got Takuya Yuki as a communications officer. He's not just he's not just a JSDF officer. You know, he's not that. He's communications officer. Okay. We got Yukihiko Gondo as a helicopter pilot.
Okay, well, at least that one's valid.
Yeah. We got Haruo Nakazawa as that. He's just Haruo Nakazawa. We got Kentaro Watanabe as a TV news anchor, whatever the fuck you want to say. Anyways, we got, of course, the ever-returning Haruo Nakajima as Godzilla. We have a new one, I think. We got Kenpachiro as Satsuma. Wait, what? I mean, Kenpachiro Satsuma as Hedorah.
Yes, there you go. You got it right that time. This is gonna be fun. Yeah. And keep in mind, y'all, the thing about the characters in this film, I don't know how much of the film was actually cut out, but I have heard that there was some stuff that the directors and the writers and the people behind the scenes wanted to put in this movie that they just didn't get the chance to. So, if at any point this film sounds like it's not a complete package, that might be why. But nevertheless, this film, it's an interesting one. It is an interesting one. So... Here's the plot. A microscopic alien life form, since apparently the Godzilla series has devolved into just having aliens as the enemies in these films, but you know, whatever. But a microscopic alien life form falls to Earth and fuses with / consumes the Earth's pollution. And as a result, well, it slowly starts growing into a large sea monster, and, well, it ends up getting discovered by Dr. Toru Yano and his son Ken Yano, and, yeah, it continues to feed off of the pollution as well as a oil tanker and shit, and it just continues to keep feeding and growing until eventually it just gets too damn big to, it just gets too damn big for the Japanese government to deal with, and too dangerous, frankly, for them to fight properly. And as a result, Godzilla senses this and comes to save the day. This, I believe, is the first film where Godzilla can genuinely be 100% referred to as a superhero, because, yeah, there were films in the past where he, was slowly growing fond of, humans and the life on this Earth that, is around everywhere, and he was trying to protect it. But this was the first movie where you can genuinely say that he had the persona of, a noble, hero from, say, for example, inspiration being Superman or some shit like that. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But Noah, do you want to talk about the human characters?
Drugs.
Yeah, no shit. Okay, we should establish something. I'm not sure if this was a decision on the film based on the fact that pollution was the main idea, but I do know that there's a lot of really trippy imagery and shit like that. And Hedorah himself in this film, or she, I don't know if Hedorah's a male or a female, but the kaiju Hedorah...
I think in the show era,
what?
In the show era, it was a female.
Oh, okay. Alright, so Hedorah is a girl. Nice. So yeah, Hedorah Hedorah's, sort of like, Hedorah's, like, body structure and shit like that, as it is literally pollution, personified. Hedorah's body structure seems to be like that of a gigantic fecal matter. Now, how do you explain
that? Sludge monster.
Yeah. I don't get it either, but, I mean, like, just some of the imagery that this movie shows and shit, and even some of the things the characters do, there's a lot of, like, dumb shit that the main characters do actually end up doing and shit, but ultimately it's not all that bad, and in the end the monster action does make up for it. But yeah, just some of the psychedelic imagery and shit that are shown, it's just so damn weird. But, thankfully, once you do get past that shit, you do genuinely have an interesting and, fun to watch movie here for audiences of all ages to enjoy, adults and children. Which, thank God, we are finally, well, not completely out of it, but thank God we are finally getting into some more Godzilla movies that are not specifically geared towards children. So yeah, I mean, honestly, some of the human characters, they do seem as though they're not, like, putting forth their full effort into this shit, but at the same time, there are plenty of other cast members that make up for that. And honestly, the human part of this film is a mixed package, and it has some interesting parts whereas it also has some irritating shit as well.
Drugs!
What?
Drugs!
I think Rodan got his weed from Hedorah, honestly.
Yep.
Okay. And, yeah, with that out the way, let's talk about the monster action. First of all, let's talk about Godzilla's suit. It's literally the exact same suit from the last two movies, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, the suit is good, for what it's worth, but honestly, I do still miss the 1964 design.
Yeah, I can see what you mean by that. Yeah. That was a good suit.
It was a good suit. But I mean, Godzilla, if we're gonna talk, like, we already talked about his, journey as a character. But yeah, Godzilla in this movie, we don't actively see him, like, specifically going out of his way to put his life on the line for human beings or anything like that. But we do see him actively cooperating with humans to fight Hedorah in this film, when he uses the electrical wall discharge things to harm Hedorah that the humans set up. And ultimately, I don't think that Godzilla, was trying to save him, but, like, when all the people, in the field were charging at Hedorah with the torches and shit, and Godzilla showed up to help him, I think that was honestly a really cool scene, and it's a blink and you'll miss it moment, but it was pretty damn fun to watch. But now let's talk about the essential star of this movie, the villain, Hedorah. Good God, is she a breath of fresh air, and she is so goddamn cool to watch in this movie, dude.
Yeah, boy!
Now, do you want to say anything about Hedorah?
Vagina eyes.
Vagina, Jesus Christ. No, is that all you're gonna do in this review? Is you're just gonna say random words and shit?
Random stuff. I don't know what else to say except for random stuff, man. I'm going to whatever's on the top of my head.
Okay. Well, alright, well then in that case, yeah, Hedorah in this film is just, she's awesome. Her design is amazing. Her powers are interesting as hell and honestly well suited for a pollution monster. And she has multiple different forms that she takes throughout this film. A swimming form, her flying form, and then her full body form, which her full body form is huge. She is, like, she eventually gets to the point where she almost doubles Godzilla in height, and that is honestly a little terrifying. Even for the show era where all the monsters are like 50 meters tall.
Especially since they couldn't really show that Hedorah was 100 meters.
Yeah.
Though in canon he is 100 meters.
I mean, yeah, there were mistakes in the last films, but I mean, they weren't like bad. In terms of this film, though, like I think they did do a good job with the designs for the characters, but the fighting itself, I think they played it safe throughout the first half or the first parts of the movie. But then during the climax of the film and the final fight, they really just took the training wheels off because... No, I'll play the clip.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yes. Anyone who has watched a Godzilla movie in the past, or specifically this one, heard that music and know exactly what the hell. Yep. Yep. Godzilla flies in this bitch. I still can't believe it. Oh, yes.
Oh, God. Cursed. Oh, God.
Oh, just looking at that. The first time I watched that as a kid, I was sitting at the not at the edge, but I was sitting in my seat and I was like, "What the hell is he doing?" I genuinely think watching this movie was the first time I ever actually said the word hell. And yeah, I didn't know what else to say. I was like, "What is he doing?" And then he started flying and it was like, "Oh my God."
What's the dog doing?
And that's not even the funniest thing. He does here soon. Oh my God, Noah. We're in for a ride, aren't we?
Oh, yes, we are.
Yes, a ride. We'll just describe it as that. And as for the actual battle itself, during the first parts of the movie, like I don't know if they were like trying to keep from damaging the suits or the effects or anything like that, but they seemed like they really just didn't want Godzilla and Hedorah making a lot of physical contact until like the very end of the movie. Because during the initial fights, Godzilla, like, attacks Hedorah by dancing his arms around and just acting like a goofball. But then during the final fight, you see Godzilla and Hedorah finally get physical and start beating the shit out of each other. And Godzilla literally punches into and digs out pieces of Hedorah's body, which should be easy considering she's a slime monster. And, yeah, you get to see Godzilla cooperate with the Japanese government to take down this monster. Whether or not that's a good or a bad thing, you'll know. Like, that's up to you to decide. But me personally, I think that this movie was one of the better ones of the Showa series. And, yeah, Noah, your thoughts?
It was overall an enjoyable movie at near the end.
Indeed.
So it's positive for me.
Alright then. Do you have anything you want to say on the topic of Hedorah?
Vagina eyes!
Damn it, I just was hoping that you would actually have something by now, but okay, whatever.
Well, to be honest, Hedorah is a nice concept overall and a pretty good design.
Yeah.
The way they handled her was pretty well, so.
Yeah. And I mean, for a 70s movie, they did execute the idea pretty efficiently. Like,
Yeah.
let's just say that.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so, with that out the way, Noah, what audiences would you recommend this film to?
Older teens to adults.
No
Because of
kids?
Some certain scenes. Drugs.
Yeah. I definitely would not recommend this film to anyone who dislikes animal violence. Because during the beginning of the film, there is a cat that gets covered and damn near drowned in freaking goo and shit because it got ran over by Hedorah. So I would not recommend this film to anyone who has a problem with animal violence, and I also would not recommend this film to anyone who has epilepsy, because god damn! Shit, dude. Just, oh my god. I don't have epilepsy, but there are some scenes that will give you a seizure, straight up. And, like, we joke around a lot about, like, there being drugs and, like, hardcore drugs involved with the making of these films. And there are some movies that, like, you can genuinely question that. But this film, I don't really think that was the case. So yeah. Honestly, if I were to recommend this film to anybody, one, I would recommend it to hardcore fans of the Godzilla series. And two, you know, I would recommend it to sci-fi fans. I really would, because the concept of Hedorah alone is an interesting idea for a science fiction film. And combine that with Godzilla, if you're a fan of science fiction or a hardcore fan of Godzilla, at least in my opinion, I think you're gonna find some enjoyment out of this. And yeah, that's who I would recommend this movie to. Anything you'd like to say before we get out of here, Noah?
Shrimpzilla.
Shrimpzilla? What? Noah, are you?
He curls up as a shrimp. He starts blasting his way. He flies. Is that a plane? No. Is that a bird? No. Is that Superman? Fuck no. It's Godzilla!
Okay. Hell yeah, dude. Alright. Well, that settles it. And we will see you guys tomorrow for Godzilla vs. Gigan. Damn it, Noah, I was not expecting that. It's certainly not boring with you around, bro.
Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Just a quick reminder before the end of the video, I would like to ask y'all to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And if you'd be so inclined, I would not mind it if y'all would share this video with anyone you deem fit. But with that being said, that's everything we have for today, and have a good one.